Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. I'm your co-host, Pablo, and here's my co-host.
Leo.
So in today's episode, we are going to talk about the official Superflex mock draft. Probably going to be the only one that we do before the season starts. So, Leo, why don't you get us started off on the CPU picks and then your pick?
So we created this little super flex to get a little mock going. So, kind of based on one of my leagues that I do. So I in this particular draft, I do have the sixth pick. So I just wanted to try something to see how it goes. So the first three picks was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels, which probably to be expected. And then the two stud receivers went, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So that came up to me. At this point, I was kind of debating between Joe Burrow, but I go, you know what? Let's try the top running back that's there on my board, which is Bijan Robinson. So I went with Bijan. And then after that was Joe Burrow, Jamar Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, and which ended up to you at 10.
Now, before I talk about my pick, kind of just want to, talk about the fact that if you're in a super flex, I think these first few QBs that went off the board, they're kind of like on their own tier. So after they're gone, then you kind of have to think about what's left, and do you want to get a position player? So in pick 10, I still think Hurts is not as good as those first four, but the quarterback after him, I think it's a big difference as far as the upside that Hurts has with his rushing ability and the fact that he normally gets those, goal line touchdowns in the pick after. I did CD Lamb. Now, what was your next pick, Leo?
Yeah, no, definitely I agree with you. After Jalen Hurts, to me there is a little bit of a teardrop. So then after that, after you went with Lamb and Neighbors, Brock Bowers, uh, Saint Amon Brown, and then so then at this point, the quarterback that was available there was Mahomes. I really didn't want to draft him at this point, but I couldn't believe that Ashon Genty was still there, so I doubled up on running back. So now I got two stud running backs that are going to be in this mock that are going to be a bell cows for their team. So I decided to go with them. After Mahomes went right after, when a couple of receivers, Brian Thomas, then CMC, a chain, and then Puka Nacua. That was at the end of the second round. And then after that, on the turn, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Nico Collins, McBride, and then Drake London. So then it came back to me. At that point, then I decided to try to get my first quarterback, which I wanted to go with a quarterback that was going to be in a high octane offense. So I decided to go with Baker Mayfield. As we discussed on previous podcasts, he has a plethora of weapons. So I decided to go with him. Right after that, Bo Nix went with a couple of running backs, Jacobs and Kyron Williams, and then it landed back to you.
Now here I was kind of hoping the opposite. I honestly thought you were gonna go for the three-headed monster and running backs. So I figured you'd go like Irving here or something. That way Mayfield could make it back to me. Kind of like you said, high octane offense, but it was flip flop, so I went with Irving. And then here I kind of debated a little bit. Some of the wide receiver names that were available: McConkey, Harrison, JSN, Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson. But I kind of liked Jonathan Taylor, which is what I went with. Then again, kind of like I mentioned, the receivers: McConkey, Harrison, JSN went after Breece Hall, Chase Brown. And sorry, I just spoiled your pick. So
No, it's all
before
good.
before Leo's pick, it was McConkey, Hall, Marvin Harrison, and then take us through your thought process here because I saw some, other names since you like the more running back heavy teams.
Yeah. So yeah, I did the I
So
did
kind of
debate with.
surprised that's who you went with.
Yeah, I debated to get Chase here as well. But I saw that to me that it was going to be a big. Uh, uh, if I didn't get my receiver here, I figured there's going to be a lot of receivers going right after me. So I was debating between uh, JSN and then Garrett Wilson. Obviously, Tariq is there, but to me, even though I'm a Dolphins fan, Tariq has been a little flaky, and I wanted someone that I think is going to be more consistent. So I went with JSN. He's the number one receiver there at Seattle, um, and I think he's going to have a breakout year. So then after that was Chase Brown, Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, and Higgins. Then at the first pick of the fifth round, Herbert, McLaren, James Cook, Rashid Rice, Hampton, and then Kyler Murray. I went with Kyler Murray there to double up on a quarterback there to get my second quarterback. I wanted to get another consistent quarterback that I think that can run. He has also Trey McBride and Harrison. So, he does have his weapons there. I wanted to get another quarterback because I had a feeling again that there was going to be another quarterback run because I saw the rest of the guys after me that some didn't have none, and then you only had one. So I mean, you know what? Let me get one. So and that's what happened. Kamara went. Then it was four quarterbacks in a row: Drake May, Caleb Williams, and then it went to you.
So, especially in these super flexes, once these guys who, to me are, like you said, kind of different tiers, and if you don't get them, maybe I would say by like round 6, the rest of the options you're gonna have after round 6, to me aren't as great. So especially for those of you that have, are in Superflex leagues, something you want to think about. So I went back to back. I went Goff and Stroud to kind of solidify my quarterbacks on my roster. Especially you never know with injuries. Goff, high octane offense. Same thing with Stroud. They drafted 2 receivers for him. Now the big question mark in Houston and I think even in Detroit, because I believe their offensive line is either dealing with injuries or maybe they got traded away, kind of thing. But assuming those quarterbacks can be protected, they have really good upside in my opinion, which is why I went back to back, so I didn't really have to worry about at least the QB position for the rest of the draft. So that was my thought process. Then after that, it was Mike Evans, Chuba Hubbard, Laporta, and then it went back to you.
Yeah, to go back to your point, definitely when you're, especially in the corners, you definitely have to really think about when you want to get those quarterbacks, because if you miss out, there's another quarterback run after it, you're gonna have probably a crappy one as your second one. So definitely a good idea to, like you did, to double up there. On my turn, then I kind of debated with a couple guys, but when I saw the main guy that was there was Kenneth Walker, in the 6th round, I was like, I gotta jump all over that. So he'll be my third running back, which to me is I wish this would happen in real life. And then then after that, Henderson went, which is high upcoming rookie. He's he's been creeping up the draft boards there.
Yeah, I feel like his ADP is gonna skyrocket by week 1. Like if you're drafting right before the season starts, his ADP is gonna be through the roof.
Yeah, it's been inching up by the week for sure, by the day. Then after that was a couple of receivers, Devontae Smith, and then two double Devontaes and Adams, then Joe Mixon, your boy, and James Conner. After that was DJ Moore. Then three quarterbacks went: McCarthy, Prescott, Purdy, and McMillan. Then it came back to me. So here, I was debating between. I wanted to get another receiver here. It was kind of a little bit of a teardrop. I was kind of debating between me and the guy that you got. I'll leave that for you. But I decided to go on Metcalf, even though I said not to draft this guy, or you did. I ended up drafting him. I felt a little. I felt I had to take a shower after I drafted him, but but nah, he is gonna be at this point in the 7th round. you have to give him a chance here, to consider, because he's gonna be getting the most uh, targets from Aaron Rodgers. So at this point, might as well be my wide receiver too, and he's gonna be, as long as he's healthy, he should have a lot of targets, and hopefully he can make the most of it. After that was R.J. Harvey, Zach Flowers, and Xavier Worthy. Then it landed up to you.
Now, before I talk about my pick, if the pick that was there before you with McMillan, if had they still been available, would you have gone him instead of Metcalf?
Yeah, he was another one I was definitely contemplating there for sure. And I probably would have went with him because him with Bryce Young, I kind of like. They've been having a lot of chemistry there so
Yeah,
far in camp. So
they've been
yeah,
building that
yeah,
relationship so far in camp. So it's definitely someone that I'm looking out
yeah,
for. Now with my picks, I was not sure to get him. I honestly would have rather had Worthy instead of this guy. Just because with the whole Rasheed Rice situation, and I don't know if maybe it's gonna be more games or what's gonna happen with his suspension. So I figured Worthy would kind of be in there in his in his stead as the wide receiver one. But he got picked before me. Now this was like the first rookie that I drafted, at least in this mock. And everyone's been saying that he's gonna get double the points, so I was like, why not at round 7 at the end of the round? I went with wide receiver Travis Hunter from Colorado, and then right after that, I went with Jameson Williams. And the reason I did that is because I already had Goff. So, from last year, Jameson was that long ball, deep threat guy. Um, so, to me, he's a good, high end wide receiver too. And after that, was the running back Quinshawn Judkins. Was he the one that almost got in trouble, or is that someone else from the Browns?
well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he was a rookie that got in, kind of accusations, but they did clear him
Yeah.
recently. So he's gonna probably be creeping up the ADP as well in the upcoming weeks.
So after that, it was Jordan Love, and then Sutton, and then back to you.
Yeah, so here then I decided to go with Pickens here, George Pickens. He's gonna be the wide receiver 2 there at Dallas. You know, I think this year Dallas is gonna be a more of a passing team. Their running backs, you know, are don't seem too exciting, other than maybe Jaden Blue, which you can get a little later. But I do think that they're gonna be passing more, so that's why I decided to go with Pickens here. After that, it was Hawkinson, eh, Caleb Johnson, Montgomery, Ondunze, and then Pacheco. That was the end of the 8th round. Then it came down to the 9th round, which Tyler Warren, which is a nice tight end rookie. If you decide to wait a little bit, he's someone to take a look at that in your drafts. Aaron Jones, Chris Olave, Tracy, and Lawrence. So here, I kind of wanted to get my third quarterback just in case. And I decided to go with high upside, which is with Justin Fields. Whenever Justin Fields has been a starter for throughout a whole season, he's been definitely a top 5 to top 10 quarterback. So he has the capability of making he's a dual threat. So I decided to go with him there. And I wanted to go maybe another receiver, but I really wanted to secure him there. I didn't think he was going to make it back to me, so I wanted to get him there. And then after that was Swift, Judy, Waddle. Waddle was another guy that I contemplated between the two, but oh well, that's how it is. And then I went back to you.
Yeah, so if Waddle was here, I think I would have gone with him instead of my actual pick, and I went with Calvin Ridley. Now the reason I did that is, I think the first preseason game and some of the clips I've been seeing, Ward has been looking for Ridley. So hopefully that means they're, building that relationship. And then after this, I was really debating between the guy that I picked or Chris Godwin. And the reason, I was debating with Godwin is I have not heard anything of when he's expected to be back. He's still recovering from major injury, but I think that if he's back to as close to 100% as he can be, at some point during the season, getting him in round 10, and if you were to plug him in, let's say, after week 4 or week 6, and he's back to his usual self, I think that'd be really great value.
Yeah.
But again, I think until I hear something more concrete, if I were to be drafting today, I think I would still go with the pick that I did, which was Mark Andrews. Getting Mark Andrews round 10, he's still part of a prolific offense over there in Baltimore. I know he didn't have as good of a year everyone was expecting last year. Especially, I remember after that first week, everybody was getting Isaiah Likely, acting like Likely was gonna, replace Andrews. Then after that was Addison, Tony Pollard, Chris Gonwood, and then I went back to you.
Yeah, Godwin is someone like in this draft, like you want to monitor him like in your league settings. Just a little tip there. If you do see that he's like out or on pup already, he's someone that you can probably draft and then you can store him on the IR and then wait till he comes back. So and that opens up another roster spot to pick up. So that's a little tip there. When you're drafting, look at your players and see if you see one of them is an out or pup or whatever. So that way, you can draft them and then just and then stash them on the IR to there. I do this a lot because it's kind of like a loophole. You're getting a stud there for later, and then you can pick up someone else later. I do this. One of my buddy Boomer is another person that does this as well. So me and him always fighting to see who we get, and that's something always we joke back and forth with. Travis Kelce is my pick. What I want to hear, how the mighty have fallen. He was going in the second, third round last year. I was able to get him in the 10th round. At this point, he's lost a lot of weight. He's in the best shape of his life, as they say. So might as well get him. Feeling swifty with it. And then after that was Myers, Myers, Ward, Cam Ward with the rookie Tennessee. So nice spot there. Ingram, Robinson, Brian Robinson from the Commanders, and then Purcell. Purcell we've been kind of eyeing to get, so he finally went, which is pretty nice spot there. Deebo Samuel lasted to the 11th round. Wow, that's pretty shocking there. That's a nice something a pretty nice step right there. And Juco Etienne, Jonnu Smith. Oh man, Matthew Golden right before me. But you know what? I settled for Igbukwa. My pick here in the 11th round. I've been high on him, and what's good is I get to pair him with Baker Mayfield, so I kind of like that stack. After that was Jennings, Loveland, awesome rookie tight end coming up, and Penix. Then it's up to you.
So here, I only had 2 running backs so far, so I knew I had to get somebody. I know we were talking about him in our earlier podcasts. Who knows if the guy ahead of him, ever gets hurt, who has dealt with some injuries the last few years. It's Jordan Mason, who's the RB2 in Minnesota, but if his teammate Aaron Jones misses any time, then that would catapult him into that RB1. And then decided to go another receiver here in Cooper Kupp, and I think, round 12, really great value, which is kind of like crazy because last year's going much higher. After that, it was the rookies, Tebow, Shakir, and man, right,
My boy,
right before your pick, Kyle Pitts in round 12, and then went back to you.
Yeah, what a tease! What a tease right there. Yeah. So right after that, so this one I was debating between Jayden Warren and Charbonnet. I ended up going Charbonnet. I kind of like his. I should have probably went Warren there, but what I wanted to get with Charbonnet is that Ken Walker, even though I drafted him earlier, he does tend to get nicked up a little bit. And whenever he gets nicked up, Charbonnet is he proved that he could be a running back one. So I decided to go with him. After that was Warren, Reed, Diggs, Javonte Williams, Dante Kincaid. That was the end of the 12th round. And we're on to the 13th. Josh Downs, Ayuk. He's one of those players that you could probably pick up, stash him on your IR. Tucker Kraft, Stevenson, Najee Harris, and then it was on to me. Here, I decided to be a little bit of an ass, and I decided to draft Jaden Higgins, your boy from the Texans. I know, I'm sure you had him queued up there. Um,
I did.
you know, so nah, like you said, like we've been talking, he's gonna be the wide receiver two there with the Houston. That they should be passing a lot. So got him there. Then Coleman, Dobbins, another guy. Definitely at this point, really nice steal there. White, and then on to you.
Now, before I talk about my pick, I was really hoping that um, the wide receiver Coleman would have been here. Not sure if anyone has been watching Hard Knocks, but I feel like every time they throw the ball, Coleman's always on the other end of the Josh Allen passes. Um, so especially again in these later rounds, if we can get him this late, I think Coleman has a really high ceiling. Um, and it looks like that's going to be Josh Allen's guy, or at least his go-to. That's why they drafted him high last year. So kind of be on the lookout for that. But I actually went with Jaden Blue. We're talking about him, the rookie from Dallas. Maybe he can take over that starting role. And these last two picks, I really didn't know who to draft. And who I went with after Jaden Blue was Shaheed. Don't know what that offense is gonna look like at all in New Orleans. But in the last year he had some long touchdowns. So hopefully he's still that long touchdown guy. After that was Goddard, Pittman, Bixby, and then back to you.
Yeah, I was really hoping to get Dallas Goedert to fall to me here, but I decided to go with Jake Ferguson. He had a very nice last couple of seasons as a tight end there with Dallas. So like I said, I think Dallas gonna be passing the ball a lot. So I decided to get him there. Then after that was Trey Harris, Spears, Kyron Williams, Ray Davis, and the end of the 14th round was Benson. Now this is our last round, which is Tootin, Mooney, Garendo, Eckler, Hunter Henry, then on to me. So here, I decided to, since Joe Mixon has been having a lot of issues with with his foot, I'm sorry, and there's no hope end in sight of when he's gonna play. I decided to go with Nick Chubb. I've been hearing that Nick Chubb the last week or two he's been kind of coming on, so decided to get him there as my let me see, as my sixth running back. So I'll take that any day of the week. Tyler Algier, Burden, Isaiah Likely, and then on to Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, I would have gotten Chubb if he was still there, kind of like you said. We don't know what's gonna happen with Mixon, so that kind of leaves Chubb as the starting running back. And if you get him this late, and depending on how long Mixon is out, then it could be a really good steal this late. But since we are in a 2 QB league, I kind of decided to kind of have like an insurance policy in the event that some of my other QBs get hurt. And I went with Tua, even though I know Tua has been having injury problems himself. Hopefully he can stay healthy, for a full season finally, especially with those new helmets and like the padding and stuff. Now, that kind of concludes our mock draft, and the reason I went with choosing pick 10 is that's kind of like my fear, because if you're not, I would say between picks 1 through 7, those elite QBs are going to be gone. So I kind of been doing a lot of pick 10 drafts just to kind of see what my team is going to look like. Leo, any other closing comments? Leo? No? All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you guys find this Superflex mock draft helpful, and we will see you guys next week.